This just in, the Spanish king has fallen ill with what is believed to be the Spanish flu. It is still unknown what the illness is. Although being called the Spanish flu, has been tracked to the United States as its origin. The only reason that the flu is called a Spanish flu is because the censorship in Spain was not as harsh as the ones in the warring Europe. The Spanish flu originated in Camp Funston and spread quickly to encompass the world, besides Western American Samoa. The flu in total killed an estimated 65 million, although sources estimate there are more, as it was a bit shaky knowledge as many written it off as the cold. Number of those. Okay. The symptoms throughout the pandemic in the first wave were just chills, a 3-day fever, and fatigue. These symptoms are not out of the ordinary for your everyday seasonal flu. However, during the second wave, you would develop severe coughing, severe respiratory issues, and even pneumonia, which led to death, as many would drown in their own fluids. It is believed to have originated in Camp Funston, as a private was admitted to a hospital or medical tent. Many cases started popping up around to the United States with the U.S. Army camps because they're in a state of war, and men are being transported all over the place easily through rail. It is hard to understand or even know where most of the people went. The lack of containment made it easy for the flu to spread to Europe, as it was not really contained, as many were sent to Europe even though they were showing symptoms of an illness. Once there, it spread in the trenches like wildfire. The trenches were the ideal place for the Spanish flu, as their uncleanliness and sanitation issues were prominent. The spread of illness effectively made many soldiers come down with the illness. They also led to the townsfolk coming down with the illness, as many soldiers were let on leave to these towns. It took a while to recognize the illness in its new form, and many, even on the Eastern Front in cold Russia, were starting to feel the effects of the new disease. The flu symptoms were easy to dismiss as a cold in the beginning, and made it easy to transfer it to new people. One of the many ways the population tried to spur the spread of the illness was going out when essential, self-quarantining, and wearing face masks when going out. Schools and theaters were closed, and in most places there was a ban on coughing, sneezing, and spitting in public places. Although people tried to stem the rate of infection, it was unsuccessful in many places, as many unknowingly exposed themselves while walking down the street. Many turned to home remedies, such as eating onions, keeping a potato in the pocket, and wearing a bag of camphor around the neck when asleep. However, these home remedies were not effective against the Spanish flu. The most effective prevention was social distancing, as it was able to slow the spread of the disease, and only one person out of a household would be sent out for groceries or anything they needed. The person was kept in isolation in a different part of the house, away from the sleeping family, and ate in different places as well. It was a world upside down for many, and for many, it tore their family apart. If anyone showed illness in the house, everyone was quick to isolate the one that was showing illness and clean everything they came in contact with. However, once you started seeing the symptoms in your house, you were screwed, because everybody else would fall ill simultaneously, each taking probably about a week in between each infection. The beginning of the Spanish flu was uncertain of how beginning was uncertain of how treatment was going to be conducted. Many doctors prescribed aspirin to take away inflammation and deal with the fever. However, during this time, aspirin was a relatively new drug. So, about 1,200 times the legal and safe dose today was prescribed back then, which led to aspirin overdose and killed many people. The amount was 9 or 10 times. Nothing much was to be done during Spanish flu except for bed rest and the occasional fluids and home remedies, because there's not much known about this flu. During the later stages of the epidemic, there was a vaccine created in the late winter of 1919 to early 1920. This, paired with extensive bed rest until the patient was better, would make the patient feel better, and both made the vaccine viable and also prevented the illness. Despite the vaccine coming along, there are numerous fails and fake vaccines created for the suffering people so they could feel safe. In the end, many social norms changed throughout the Spanish flu. Many things such as customs, how to greet people, and even the treatment of the sick, as many saw illness or even any sign of illness as a means to quarantine or isolate the certain person. In many places, it's changed even until today, with the use of face masks still prevalent in Asia, even though it is not usually used for illness.